I love interviews with players because I think you pick so much up from their mindset. And Ash, like you say,
Mm.
always uses we. She, talking about she just wants to enjoy and give her best and enjoy the Australian summer. And the byproduct of that is the ability to perform. If I move that question into your tennis, a world number 7, an incredibly high level tennis player. Was that an area of your game that you worked at? Or back in our day, I won't throw you under the bus with the age. I'll say back in our day, it wasn't looked at in quite the same way, maybe.
I think nowadays people or players or just in general the population, is a lot more open about mental health and about issues maybe on the court, in any sport. And I think everybody can work on something. I mean, you hit, you practice every day, your forehand, your backhand, but what about the mental aspect? And once again, I don't think it's just necessary or only necessary in tennis, in sport. It's necessary as a human being because everybody is carrying a certain backpack. Everybody can view things differently or look at yourself in a different way, reflect. And I think we should all do that a little bit more. Coming back to my career, I have worked with a sports psychologist for a couple of years, and he's helped me a lot. I had my issues on the court, and it was very hard for me to accept errors and mistakes, and I would have a tendency to get very negative and down on myself. So he has worked, or he's helped me a lot, to just change my way of thinking, how to deal with negative thoughts, and that was the best time in my career. I had my breakthrough then. I was top 10, and I worked every single day in that department pretty much. And I think once again, I think every player should have a good look at themselves, and every player has certain doubts, certain thoughts coming out, especially in the game of tennis, which can last a very long time. Between 2 hours and 5 hours, you have a lot of emotions coming up, and it's a matter of how you deal with those emotions. If when you deal with pressure, how you deal with anxiety, decision making, and all these things. So I think I think it's a really important part of tennis, which should not be underestimated. And I love it that people are so much more open about it now.
Absolutely. And in terms of our childhood and our start in the sport of tennis, how much do you think our experiences at those ages impact how we are once we're older and we're on the court as well?
Very much so. I think it really impacts you. The first coach you've had, the way you started to play tennis, the way your parents have handled success, and sometimes when you would lose matches. I think, as we all know, when you're a little child, the things you remember everything people say, and what your parents tell you, and that can be a very good thing, but that can also be a problem down the track, because it's very hard to get out of those patterns. I, for example, always thought that I had to practice 5-6 hours a day. I had to, and when I didn't practice that amount, I thought I'm not prepared enough, so it was really hard to get that out of my brain pretty much, that sometimes less is more. And I mean, that's just an example. For example, what the players are dealing with, and definitely the path, not the path is set, but whoever is your mentor when you grow up, or your coach, or that's pretty much in your head, I think.